professionals there if you want to keep them on this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no worries.
Because that's why I found it and...
You're in there.
I'd go to the one beside the light switch, maybe.
This one, do you reckon?
I'd say so. Yeah, next one. Alright, we'll introduce you. Yeah.
That was grand. It was right there
And
now.
then put your battery on that one, on the top of that thing.
How are you?
See, does it look... See, look there, looks better. See, is.
No, take these, mate. Got to open this one. We're going to do our own song? Yeah. I'll just... Really? What? Can we do our own song? What's fantastic? Yeah, so just do the intro, will you? I'll believe that thing. But then we'll break halfway through. But yeah, otherwise we can't go beyond half and try and fit the two of them. So we'll break halfway through. Yes, do that. Good evening. It's the big kick-off. It's the 12th. 12th? I haven't done the 12th of July, then. So I don't know. Brian O'Driscoll bangs a drum. He does. Did you see it? No, what was it? He's doing a documentary about rugby. It's in the United Ireland team. So he's doing a bit of a documentary about how it brings the country together. So he went up to Lochcall or somewhere up there and one of the big massive drum. You want to give it an old go, Brian? And of course, there he is banging away in the drum. Now, he wasn't marching with them, but he was just having to go on the drum today. So I'm waiting for Twitter or somebody to start giving out some now for doing it. Hello, how are you doing? Big kick-off, Dave. Work up's nearly over. Yeah, you're not bothered? No, it's not coming home anymore. Not to Croatia. Did you see that? There was a name out and it had something about some type of... Really? There hasn't been many of them around? No, only one. What have we got on the show today, Dave? Well, we have Lydia Des Dolles. Des Dolles. I would say I'm too much practicing today instead of just going natural. Where is that from? It's France. Bonjour, mademoiselle. I was listening, right, because what's her name? How do you say it? So I was listening to clips, and then one you said, Lydia Des Dolles. And I went, she said Des Dolles? I need it. And I was thinking, oh, God. So I had to listen to so many just to get it right, and now you brought on something. Yeah.
It was a good attempt.
It was a good attempt. So Lydia, what else we got? And just other nonsense. Obviously, there was an obvious game last night that's obviously going to be mentioned at some point later on. There will be. And it was interesting, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. There's a lot of controversy. All the noise are out now, seeing as they lost, so all the others can start bombing. There was a lot of haters out too. Yeah. I didn't think there was that many haters out there. I thought we were over that. Yeah, plenty. And that was the 12. Okay. That means, well, what song have we got? Well, this is Roy's choice. This is Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me from Batman Forever. This is Ooh Too. That was a very aggressive, slow burner. Can you hear me alright? Yeah. No. Yeah. So, just a bit of fist away from the microphone.
Here?
You get yourself comfortable, pull it into you.
Okay.
Right, so probably about 25 minutes or so?
Yeah, perfect.
Did you touch that? Huh? Did you touch that?
No. I'm saying
Turn that down, that should be up.
People are always messing.
Yeah. There.
No, you see, I use that one and that one. So I never use that.
You have to keep an eye on yourself.
But sometimes you see you have to keep an eye. Some people turn that
Yeah, that
as
one down. Yeah. Right, thanks, Gareth.
I'll keep it listening for a while I email the show.
Yeah.
You sound great, Dave.
No, he's not great.
No. He's very nervous.
That's why you're the guest in each week. Oh, yeah. much now on the actual night of the fight, or?
Yeah.
And it's literally constantly throughout the night, like in and out?
Don't stop filming, yeah. I think I usually have like about 6 or 7 hours of like footage when I get home on the Sunday, like. And I usually do wires from home to show that I can't sleep, so I usually do it then, like start the rough editing and then finish off on Sunday, try to get up for Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, it's fun, but I don't mind it, you know. It's one show, so it's like...
Pretty much showing every weekend, is it? Everywhere.
Yeah. Things like we cover so many, like, you know.
Yeah.
There's always something for us to cover, you know.
You go to the one in Winter Park now in August. The one in Winter Park up in Belfast, the Frampton one.
Did we do?
No, maybe there's one in August.
Hopefully, yeah. The big shows, you have to apply for
it's a lot harder, I presume.
passes and to get access to like part of like the show is like the fact that I get to like hang out for weeks.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like film
is
and
texting.
stuff like that, but the bigger shows.
Sit down to
I get the access.
No, I use, you have to have Facebook on that one because once the text line is in,
Right.
nothing else will work.
How do I contact
I
that?
usually wriggle my way in
And
there.
you just don't push it after
Yeah, I was meant to, I didn't actually get to go.
Well, yeah, wrote this down.
Yeah, and then you should get.
You do.
Oh, sorry, it's here. And
That's
then
all
you
right.
should
What was that?
get Facebook back then.
First, we put on the song so you can
Yeah.
relax and get ready. What was that?
Just remember to plug it back in because they'll be going mad.
Yes. It will. I'll put it back in
Moving
again.
live.
Yeah,
And you get all those texts. Not.
Nah, should I turn everything off, lads? So when it says turn off the fan, I turn off the wrong socket. Everything just went boom.
And the whole station just went.
Probably got that. Minute.
You want to talk about Conte?
Yeah, but he's gone.
Gone. And did you see Pedrosa's announced his retirement from MotoGP as well?
Did he?
Danny Pedrosa. It's on the BBC website.
Didn't know that. Yeah, I'll start fading that down here. About 20 seconds left on push up. Alright. And welcome back to the big kickoff on Liffey Sound 96.4 FM. Joining us in the studio tonight is the face of MMA Connect TV. Lydia Des Dolles has. I knew you'd do it! Massive sit-down, one-on-one, post-fight, and behind-the-scene interviews. And the proof, with that respect, comes from nearly 1.3 million views on YouTube. Lydia, welcome to the kickoff.
Thank you.
Now listen, before we get into the MMA Connect TV, one question: what happened to Sweet Jane? Good research.
Oh, good research.
Well, not too much research, it's out there.
It is, yeah.
What happened to Sweet Jane and that haircut that you had when you were
Listen, we all went through some dodgy haircuts when we were young, and let's not bring. Yeah, Sweet Jane is gone. What is it now, like 2012, 13, like 5 years? 5 years,
Is
yeah.
it 5 years?
Yeah.
Is that all?
I think maybe like 5 years since we announced that we were splitting up, but I think maybe about 6 years that we stopped kind of touring and different stuff. But
we're around, when is it a bit?
yeah, we were together for like really 8 years all in all, and we had, well, by the time we broke up, we were getting ready to release the second record. It unfortunately didn't see the light of
Artistic
day.
differences, was it?
Yeah, among other things. But yeah, no, we had one album, we toured that was released in something like 35 different countries around the world. We're signed to Warner Music, Lucas Records over here. Tours for about 4 years, like consistently, very little time off. So I think that's what kind of killed us in the end, was that, we didn't get a lot of time off. But
well, I had a look at this on balcony TV.
oh, please don't! This is terrible!
A couple of times. Alright, let's have a quick listen.
No! Oh my god!
Don't have a look at it now. I'll have a look
Am
at
I able to
it. Just a
leave?
video.
Oh,
now.
sweet Jesus.
Here we go.
This is terrible! Oh my god. Do you know what? I'm just thinking about like all my friends that are actually listening to this. Fuck's sake. This is actually...
You look like... You know, there's a Roy Orbison in you there.
I was really young, okay? It was like a long time ago. That is the worst thing.
Here's the excuses. Funny, I looked at different balcony TV ones, and Mumford & Sons were up there.
Yeah.
Plenty of great bands on. Yeah, I never seen that.
We actually, and we done some mad stuff. Like I sang on a cover of a Coldplay song. That was for, remember when the, not earthquake, but the tsunami hit a couple of years ago?
Yeah. And
they done this big, we were actually touring Asia at the time, and we were planning to go on tour for a couple of weeks over there. So they were like, our management company were like, okay, so you're going to be going over, we're after getting you this like spot on this like cover song, kind of like a Feed the World kind of thing. So I was like, oh yeah, whatever, like we just do it. And I didn't actually realise that it was like a proper, you know, going to the studio, like all of these like people from bands all over the world, like, you know, doing this song. But yeah, it was a mad couple of years. Thank you for bringing that up. I never talk about it, it's actually the worst.
There, right? That's what we're getting at. That's the look. So, from potential music star to combat sports star, or back into combat sports, how did that happen? What happened?
I probably got most of my fighting background in the band, so.
Self-defense.
No. Yeah, it was actually when I left the band, I kind of went through a bit of, I suppose, you know, I had done music for like 10 years, and I had been on tour. A lot of people that don't know what it's like to be on tour for that long don't really understand, you know, it changes the way that, it's hard to explain. It's like, I suppose, like not working for 10 years and then going into do like a 9 to 5. Do you know what I mean? The kind of change is huge. So I didn't really do anything, and I thought that maybe I'd still do music, started kind of like a couple of new projects and stuff, and like work with people. I done some stuff with Gavin Friday, and then I was out one night, and my best friend Kiva, her boyfriend James, is a judo black belt, and I was wrestling him, and he was like, "You do this all the time when you have a couple of drinks," and you're like, just start jiu-jitsu or something, right? And I was like, no.
Dave does that as well. He nipples ears.
Yeah. But I do that too.
He starts football. Look at him, move on.
But yeah, so basically, he was like, come up to my gym, and I went up to his judo gym before he had his kids class, and he was just showing me like different techniques, and then he was like, right, go to East Coast Jiu-Jitsu Academy, and I was like, okay, I'll try it. I went, kind of got obsessed with it, trained for like a year, started competing, and then through that I got hired to work for a promotion called Bama, and I was working with the press team. So it's basically like this mixed martial arts promotion that it's kind of UK based, but it has shows in the 3 Arena in Ireland. And I was just kind of like walking, you know, like just like doing my job, and I was like, there wasn't really, there was loads of media, but they weren't really capturing sort of like the life and the spirit and the kind of fun element that goes into fighting. Everything was very technical. The interviews were very, you know, you could only really enjoy them if you knew about the sport and knew the kind of technical aspects of it. So I was like, I suppose from being in the band as well, from doing interviews and different stuff, I kind of knew there was a little bit of a gap in the market. So it just started with like Snapchat, and then like I just, you know, started getting like more and more followers on Snapchat and stuff, and then I was like, you know, maybe I'll do stuff on Instagram, and then it just started building, and then I was like, maybe we'll do like an interview, you know. And I've always been obsessed with like Oprah and like Parkinson and like, you know, all these like real great interviewers. Like I'm obsessed with it. Jonathan Ross and stuff, you know. And I was like, maybe I'll do an interview. So I was like, right, I need a really big MMA name. Who am I going to get? So Artem Lobov was like the first person I thought of, and I had seen him a couple of days beforehand. So I rang him and I was like, listen, I'm starting this thing. It's like MMA Connect TV. I was like, I need someone to do an interview with. Will you do it? And he's like, yeah, sure, no problem. Like, when do you need me? I was like, Sunday. It was like Friday night. So I got this guy that I knew, and we went down to the Workmen's Club on the Keys, and we just done the interview, and it was so bad. Like I had all these questions prepared, and I was like, reading off his sheet and stuff, and then I was like, okay, the sheet has to go, and the questions have to go.
It doesn't suit the visuals.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, look, I'm good at talking to people. I'm good at like just having a conversation. So I was like, that's how we'll do things, And everyone that was like, it's a good idea, but you need to be more professional. You need to like have this, that, and I was like, no, trust me, it'll work. Just having a conversation, just listening to what people are saying. And literally, I don't even know how it got to this stage. Like I literally just kept working, and just different things started happening, and yeah, like here we are. I haven't had a minute to stop and kind of sit back and go see the volume of it, which is probably a good thing, I suppose.
So when you started it, did you think about where you wanted it to go, or was it just starting it because you just seen that there was an opportunity?
I knew that I wanted to create something for, like obviously with training, I'm surrounded by athletes that it's their full-time job, and seeing them have no like real kind of opportunities, they can't make a living off it, they have to do everything and anything just to be able to train full-time. So I knew that I wanted to kind of do something that would eventually help athletes, and I didn't know that maybe if this didn't work, that maybe I'd branch off and I'd do kind of maybe management or sponsorship, or that was what my day job was, So I knew that I would do something like that, but I think just as it was growing and progressing, like as it keeps going, I keep thinking, right, new goals kind of get laid out, I suppose, do you know what I mean? But yeah, that's it really.
One of the things that I started to like about your interviews was your interviewing style. Like you're positive, you're smiling, you get the boxer or fighter or whoever it is to relax in your company. So is that just your personality, or is there a thought process that goes with that?
I think a lot of it has to do with my personality, and kind of, I'm like that. There's no kind of separation to like what you see on camera to what I'm like in real life, But I definitely recognise the more that I've done it that there's certain ways that I can be that will make people more relaxed, And I've started to notice it now when I kind of meet people that I've seen a couple of times or interviewed, they're like, oh, you're here, deadly, good. Let me get these ones out of the way, and then I'll come speak to you so I can like have a bit of crack, you know what I mean, or a bit of banter. So that's nice, do you know what I mean? And
do you ever get boxers or any sort of fighters when they're coming out and they're in the height of it?
Yeah.
And do you find that you have to try and calm them, guide them in a way, or is there any of them that actually you just can't?
Yeah, I think a lot of them know now that like I have a no tolerance for any kind of nonsense, do you know what I mean? Like, and I put up, not that I put up with a lot at the start, but you are dealing with a lot of personalities. It's a very strange environment. There's a lot of testosterone. It's a lot of like, I'm probably like one in like 50 guys, you know what I mean, that are like backstage at an event or whatever. But yeah, like some people you kind of might have to say, look, I'll get you in like half an hour, or you go do whatever, and then I'll get you again. Or yeah, but the majority of people that I interview I know them. I've done this for so long now, that it's the 4th year doing it, so it is kind of like one big family.
I've come from that, because like you've had a lot, obviously, of big interviews.
Yeah.
Has any stood out for you that maybe for the right reasons, maybe for the wrong reasons? Someone that surprised you, someone that you maybe didn't think their personality was as nice as they were, or etc.
I'll be honest with you, the biggest surprise that I've had today has been Connor. And I suppose that the way the interview came about, we were at the National Boxing Stadium, and I was just like, he walked in, and obviously he walks in and there's like mayhem, there's like people throwing themselves at him, and I was kind of like, I don't really get starstruck, and I don't really, I wouldn't be like, oh, I have to get that interview, like, views. I'm very relaxed with this whole thing, which I think is kind of part of the reason why we do so well. I'm like, look, if stuff happens, it'll happen. But I was like, damn it, I'm just going to go say to him, like, look, will you do an interview? And when I went up to him, he was kind of like, oh yeah, he's like, you do the interviews? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, cool. And I was like, oh shit, did you just say like, you do the interview? What? Like, what's going on? So he was leaving, and we weren't after doing the interview, and he just looked over, we kind of made eye contact, and I was like, will you do that now? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So we done it, and like he left, and obviously like it blew up, like within, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of views or whatever. And ever since I've met him since then, he remembers and he remembers me. And it's not like, oh, he remembers me, but think of the amount of people that he meets every day, you know. So.
Well, it's a big thing because the sport is trying to grow as big as possible. As you said, it hasn't got its status as a sport.
Yeah.
So it's trying to grow. So anyone who's helping the sport, if you want, can we call it a sport? What do we call it?
We have. It is definitely.
We can. Anyone who's trying to help the sport, people are going to recognise that straight away. So that's why he's going to remember your face straight away, and he's going to know what you're trying to do for it. And I think in the interview himself, he actually said, "I don't take credit for all these things. There's loads of people behind the scenes." Okay.
Well, that is, and that's kind of, I suppose, like you know, it shows a little bit of his character as well. And I think that's one thing that I've learned to sort of separate is like people's kind of online persona, I suppose, and their fight persona to what they're like in real life. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the guys that kind of go on a certain way.
You can see the difference in the character.
Yeah, of course. Do you know what I mean? Like they're just trying to make a living for themselves, I suppose. Like,
you had one interview with up in Belfast. I'll just play it there. Hold on.
Oh God, this is like.
This is your life or something.
This is my worst nightmare.
Lydia Des Dolles, Make Connect TV, standing side stage or on stage at St. Anne's Square in Belfast with Mohammed Shahed.
There's Mohammed Shahed. he was interesting, and he didn't flinch in fairness to him. So apart from the big names and the Shaheds, it's not just the Shaheds that you talk to. You do talk to a lot of the kids and the younger people. You get everyone in, don't you?
Well done. That was really, really good. That was really good. I interviewed Amir Khan the same day.
He is Shahed. I said that. We're okay.
But you know, funny thing about that story of Mohammed is obviously that was when Brave were over, and you know, culture difference, the whole lot. And I'm really like, when you meet me, I'm like, give people hugs and kisses and stuff like that. And you know, like there's obviously princes and sheiks and the whole lot. And that whole group, you know, my initial, I suppose it's maybe a nervous thing, like I kind of go to like hug people and stuff, and like, you know, I went to hug him and I literally had like 50 like bodyguards and stuff.
Did you?
Yeah, dude, you can't kiss him, blah blah. You know, I was like, and then he was actually very cool. He was like, no, I've met her quite a few times before, and apparently if you meet them a couple of times, then it's okay. It's very strange, but yeah, they were actually a great bunch of guys to work for. That's very good. That was a good spot.
No problem. Listen, I'm going to play an ad and we will come back after that. Woo!
That's really good.
Shahed.
Well played.
Oh, yeah, that was funny last night.
I actually never noticed that before. Never.
I was giggling to myself. Like, is this just boy humour?
No, it's actually very good.
Right,
45 seconds. We'll go back in. We might do this for the second part and then leave the last for everything really. Alright.
To get my kitchen done.
Well, to go in.
No. I remember living for the gym.
You're more than 20.
That's where we got the loan.
Seemed to make the trip all the way.
Yeah.
You can't live.
Yeah.
That's how we do it. Oh, give it 10, 15 minutes.
You were like switching off the light. Lydia, come on, let's get out of here.
They do this every time.
When I had the bathroom stuff.
I sure we were on Temple Born for 50 minutes long, a phone called Spain. We didn't even go to Spain until about 3 or 4 weeks later.
Huge deal in Spain.
No way.
You were like,
Come on down there.
yeah, we couldn't have forgot she was in Spain.
I'm 96.4.
And welcome back to the big kick-off on Liffey Sound 96.4 FM. If you want to text us, it's 08706271138, and if you want to email us, as always, it's thebigkickoff 96.4@gmail.com. Now, Lydia, I was just halfway through that conversation that we were having. I was just talking about some of the younger people, and there was one that, hold on, let me check, was it Sean Murray, is that his name?
Yes.
I really liked him. He's really calm and cool, and he said he's in acting and he's in a film.
Yeah.
What was the film? I can't remember what the film was.
Kiss and Candies.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he seemed really calm and cool, and I like that the boxing brings out. I can nearly see in him that outside of boxing he probably would have been, I suppose, a little bit more loose. I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but boxing always sort of aligns people up and gives them that sort of give you a word. Discipline, that's the word.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a huge contributing factor for, you know, combat sports, martial arts in general. That's the part of the kind of fight, I suppose, that, you know, why I do what I do is to highlight that. And like, again, you know, obviously you're on radio and there's like PC things to say, but at the end of the day, like, you know, combat sports, in particular MMA, in particular boxing, it does save kids' lives. Do you know what I mean? I know that sounds very like dramatic to say that, but it actually does. You know what I mean? It gives them a focus, it gives them a discipline, it gives them a sense of purpose, and most importantly, it gives them some place to go that's not a street or not, you know, wherever.
And plus, they behave a certain way as well, because people in the club, if they hear that they're acting up outside, they don't let them back in.
There's a risk involved. You know what I mean? In like being outcast from your gym and what your environment is, I suppose. You know, and you know, although our show is quite lighthearted and it's positive, you know, and it's all that, there is obviously some heartbreaking stories that go along with it, you know, some that I don't choose to put out about, and you know, obviously when you establish a relationship with people, when I interview them all the time, you know, I think there's a certain degree of trust there as well. And you know, just to hear people's stories, even if it's just like, you know, like the struggles that are going on in their lives, you know, their personal lives, and you see the kind of volume of what then they put themselves through in terms of like fight camps, you know, cutting weight, actually getting into a ring and fighting in front of like 1,000 people, you know, a lot on the line. Do you know what I mean? And people fight for different reasons as well, you know, competitively or because it's all they know, I suppose.
Did you ever have that moment when you're in an interview where somebody kind of opens up that bit more than you expect and it kind of stops you in your tracks, you don't know where to go afterwards?
Yeah, a lot actually happens quite a bit, and I think that's what makes me maybe special that I do it, and because I'm a girl and maybe I'm obviously a lot more emotionally in tune than maybe some of the guys that would do it. Yeah, do you know what I mean? But I'm very, very emotional and wear my heart on my sleeve, you know what I mean? So when somebody says something, and if you're like, I've cried I don't know how many times, do you know what I mean? And I've gone, I'll just put it up, like, do you know what I mean? And it actually does work out better because people are like, see a different side. But yeah, you know, I've interviewed fighters that are going through really bad times, that are struggling with their mental health, and I think when you kind of show them a little bit of compassion, and when you say or you speak to them like, you know, with compassion, I suppose they open up that little bit more to you.
It's the human side of things, because when you watch, say, big movie stars and stuff, and they do the usual rounds around Graham Norton, it's the same bloody questions, because they're literally handed, there you go, ask them that and that's it. You know, that's where I think the YouTubers and the vloggers are coming from. They can kind of get into the more human side of them and kind of just open up a little bit. Listen, we'll have a chat, we'll see what happens, that kind of thing. And that's where I think the success of it's coming from, especially from mainstream TV. It's very much set in stone what you have to say and what you can't say. And I have a funny story, there you go, just ask me that question and move on.
That's why I took to Sean, because I just think he looks like he looks very focused as well. And the fact that he was doing his football, his boxing, his acting and all, and he just had the right mentality. I think I got attracted to his mentality was spot on. You know?
And loads of people have commented on that video. I actually put a clip up today because I was talking about his inspirations, and he mentioned John O'Carroll, who obviously just fought Declan Geraghty and retained his title. And I was like, any inspirations? He was like, oh, you know, John O'Carroll, and the way even he spoke about him, like, I really like his boxing style. I like how he kind of like, you know, tire Deco out, and just for that age, you know what I mean? You can just see how boxing and like training kind of like shapes their brain a little bit, you know what I mean? So it's it's cool,
How much time during the week does MMA Connect TV take up?
Every day.
Every day?
Yeah, I've got like the same schedule. I train Muay Thai in the morning, I go home, have my lunch, have a nap, I work, I go train Jiu-Jitsu, I come home and I work, do more. That's Monday to Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday cover shows.
Right,
like
so
literally
it's 24/7-ish.
I'd say it's probably like 16 hours a day.
Right.
Yeah.
And when did the boxing side of
15.
it come into it? Obviously, I presume it was initially MMA, but when did the boxing side of things kind of amalgamate in?
Well, that'll kind of tell you where the sort of vision was from the start. I was like, MMA Connect TV, we'll just cover MMA, and now it's like, it's combat sports, you know, and it's obviously not just MMA, but the boxing came into it when, I suppose, as we started to grow, a lot of the boxers were like, hey, send me messages, why don't you come down to this show, or when am I going to get an interview? And I was like, we don't really cover boxing. And then it was actually kept Celtic Clash, and we've got a Celtic Clash show on Saturday in Cook Council in Trinna. Anyone's around, come down. But it was Stephen Sharp who sent me a message and was like, look, I've got this show on, you know, I know we were after going to Ring Kings in Waterford, and he's like, I saw that you were down there and I'd met him down there, and he's like, the coverage was fantastic, you know, I'd really like you to come and cover a Celtic Clash event. And I was like, look, yeah, no problem at all. So he booked us anyway, and we turned up and we done, you know, what we do, and I think they got something like 45,000 views on all the videos. And I was like, okay, boxing is definitely included. I was like, where's the next boxing event, you know? So listen, I'm happy. That boxing is very different to MMA, it's very different to Muay Thai and to kickboxing, you know, K1. And it brings in different elements. Like the first, I'm still quite new to me as well, so I'm learning about like the different, you know, scoring and, you know, the rounds and, you know.
Did you ever do a bit of boxing training just to get a bit more of a technical knowledge?
I do boxing in Muay Thai, and when I train in Muay Thai, like obviously I have a coach, Colin, at Dublin Combat Academy, and yeah, my boxing is terrible. I'm like, oh, it's terrible, it's brutal. But I've done jiu-jitsu for 4 years, so I gravitate towards the ground, you know, and like I'm a grappler. So it's very hard to. When you have a few drinks on you, it's not just the wrestling now. Do you actually go full on? Yeah, I've been throwing lots of knees and elbows. Like, you're not invited. I hate clarity. Listen, in April, you and MMA Connect TV won the Rising Star in New Media. Yeah. What was that true, and how happy were you? But like, actually the most mental thing that has ever happened to me, like it was actually bizarre, but it was through the All Ireland Business Summit, and I got a call about 7 months before the actual awards, and they were like, look, you've been nominated for Rising Star in New Media, and I was like, what? I was like, you do realise that we cover combat sports, yeah? And I was like, is this something to do with music or what? And they were like, no. So basically it was like 7 months of, they monitor what you do online, they rate your business, you know, brands, how well they think that you'll progress into the future, like is there potential for investment. So it's kind of this big sort of like showcase of Irish businesses and brands. And that must have excited you as well, because would they be thinking on lines of thought that you maybe hadn't thought of? Like you were talking about bringing the brand, they're thinking about where you could bring the brand. They might be actually able to give you some info that you mightn't have thought about beforehand. 100%, because when I made the decision to leave my full-time job, and I had a really good job, you know, doing PR and publicity, and when I made the decision to leave, I was like, right, I have to get serious about investment, I have to get serious about advertising, and different stuff like that, which I really don't want to have to do, because I like the fun elements, and I'd love someone else to do it. So when this kind of conversation was going on, and then you're hearing people who have, you know, who are proper like entrepreneurs who, you know, their job is to create businesses and brands and, you know, sell them off for millions of euro. I was like, okay, I'm listening, you know, whatever you want. So what doors did it open for you? Yeah, in the sport itself, it kind of, I suppose, people started paying more attention, you know, promoters and you know, people that are in other aspects of maybe MMA media or sports media, they definitely went further up the sheet. Yeah, do you know what I mean? They were like, okay, there's a bit of value behind MMA Connect TV, and you know, we need, you know, I suppose that they were more interested to work with us and get us involved. And then in terms of like meeting, I suppose, the right people, that like on the day there was Ramona Nicholas, who's like, you know, she's on Dragon's Den, she owns Car Pharmacy, you know. She made a beeline to come up to me, and she was like, I love that, you know, you've won this and you're combat sports and you're a woman, and she was like, you know, you're like down to earth and you know, want to succeed and grow. And I was just like, what? I was like, this is crazy. I was like, literally, like, you know, I spend, you know, every weekend like hanging off a ring, you know, filming lads absolutely battering each other, you know. So I was like, this is really, really cool. And then I felt really good about it, because I was like, yeah, I know I can shed a light on the sport, a positive light on the sport that it doesn't get and it doesn't deserve, and I know that because I'm user friendly, I suppose, to like mainstream media. What do you think is the biggest stereotypical negative towards MMA? That it's for like, you know, thugs, like scumbags, and that there's no skill involved to it. It's just jumping into a ring and just absolutely battering each other, do you know what I mean? And it's really not like and I think again that's for me actually training in the sport, and you know, I have an understanding. I get to understand it a little bit more. Do you know what we do? So, yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. And I still get it with my friends. You know, a lot of my friends are not. I sit down with them on the weekends and I'm like talking about arm bars and like, you know, like,
Do you ever
spin a back fist and
do you ever
stuff.
show
They're
them
like,
an arm bar? They go, what's an arm bar? Oh, come here for a minute.
come here and I show you. Actually, my
Okay.
best friend Robbie, who is listening, he one night I was like, I'm gonna arm bar you, and he's like, come on, Lydia. He's like, arm bar me, and I actually went to arm bar and he had the perfect arm bar defense. I was like, how is this possible? I was like, I do watch the UFC, you know. It was brilliant. It was such a good moment. But yeah, that's the biggest. Listen, it's not. It's kind of fading out now. I mean, more people
Yeah.
are a little bit more educated and the sport has grown. But yeah.
So the main man,
C McG.
yeah, he's getting a sculpture for his 30th birthday, as we know.
Did you see it?
No. What?
A sculptor, about 50k's worth, I reckon, about 50 grand's worth. He's done it. He's kind of moulded into a stone.
Yeah.
With his hand up like this, kind of showing off the body and the whole lot. But he's given it to him. It's going to be in some, I think, is it in the UK? I think it's going to be on
Something like
exhibition
that, yeah.
till September, and then he's given it to him for his 30th birthday.
Oh,
It's actually really good.
Is it?
I know it is.
It's
but
not
anyway.
Ronaldo like, is it?
Oh no, it's no.
Yeah,
It actually, it looks like him. See, that got changed actually.
Did it?
That's a different story. Yeah, they made it real.
Okay,
But anyway, is without giving too much away, and not that you would know anything, but is he coming back into the octagon soon?
Yeah, as far as I've known, yeah.
Yeah, big play cool. That's not a
Yeah.
problem. Is it kind of his legal stuff has to get out of the way first? Do you reckon, or is it just?
To be honest, I think that legal stuff is like it's not even half as big as,
Yeah,
as
that's
it's
what
been
I
made.
thought.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Oh, that'll be brushed under the carpet. Yeah, I don't think who can really sit back and go he's never going to fight again.
Because there's plenty of pictures of him
He's gonna
training
fight
at the
again.
moment. There's plenty of
Yeah.
pictures of him coming up on Instagram and everything else of him training. There was another one yesterday. He was absolutely dripping. And you're kind of going, right, he's not doing it for no reason. Like, I presume there is, without making any great predictions around it, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, 100%. I doubt it'll be the end by this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he has to fight Khabib.
Yeah, it has to.
100%. Like there's no
That's what it was
escape.
all for.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, it makes perfect PR sense if it was. But
So listen, with the channel,
yeah.
what's coming up? What does the future hold? What's going to make it bigger and better?
Well, I'd like to see us branch off and collaborate with bigger brands.
Okay.
I know that MTK are launching a TV channel in August.
Okay.
Will they
So-
let you?
Yeah. Hopefully, you know, I'd like to do something with those guys there. You know, in terms of what they do online, it's very similar to our style and our coverage. Box Nation as well. There's
yeah.
like maybe talk of doing some social stuff with them. But
Right.
I think yeah, maybe the collaborations with bigger brands, and then just keep growing. We obviously made the decision to move into the UK as well in Europe. So we've got a UK show in October. That'll be the first UK show, and then
So your air miles are going to go.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's any sponsors out there for Ryanair, Aer Lingus.
That's awesome. Well, listen, Lydia, that's as much as we want to talk all night, we can't. But it's been great having you on.
Thank you so
and
much.
if you want to stay around, you can stay around to the end of the show. All right. Thanks very much. We're going to go to an ad break.
That's so good.
Listen online.
It is roasting me very long,
My
right?
ears to be in bits every time we go to it. Like, we can't wait to take these off. It's just going for it.
So you have that window open, the traffic's outside, because that's the road that you
2
want.
weeks
Yeah,
ago.
that's where I came up because I could see the thing on the outside.
Yeah,
I
2
was
weeks ago
like,
there was 4 of us in here now, and that was tough. Because they were here for pretty much the hour. That was tough.
Now, what are you doing? You can hang around if you want. We're just going to talk football and stuff, but we've only got 15 minutes left. Or you can take it for a bus. Have you got a bus to
Let me
get?
just check and see. Oh, I like it.
Because we can drop you up the road to another place.